Hello, and welcome back to the final installment of the Solo Oryx tutorials. In this video, I'll be covering everything relating to Challenge Mode Oryx, specifically pre-Enrage Challenge Mode. Now, the routing is almost identical across all of the classes, so this video is mostly going to be set up into different routes depending on where Oryx goes, and then later on we'll be covering the differences between the detonation sequences. This is, without a doubt, my favorite type of solo in Destiny, although it is very unpopular in terms of solos. If you're unfamiliar with what Challenge Mode Oryx means, it means that we have to detonate all of the bombs at the same time. Now, there's an obvious challenge that gets posed here when you're doing this solo, which is the vessel. If you just leave bombs laying around, the vessel will go and eat them. But there are a few blind spots on the map where the vessel and Light Eater Knights cannot find the bombs. And we can use the Ogre Enraging mechanic to bring ogres to those spots. So the general format here is every round we're going to pull as many ogres as we can to that blind spot, and then on the 5th round we'll detonate all the bombs. A couple notes about Ogre Enraging that we're going to be using a lot of for this solo. Ogres will only enrage if they are around 30% or below on their health bar. You'll need to be within a certain range of the ogres in order to enrage them. You can shoot at them or at the ground in front of them to make it happen. As we've talked about in other videos, if you double jump anywhere near the ogres, it's going to add a few seconds on before you're able to successfully enrage them. The same thing goes for if the ogres slam. If they slam, it'll take a few seconds before you can enrage them again. And if you ever run too far away from the ogres, they will simply unenrage and back off. So there is a sweet spot for this entire solo where we want to keep the ogres right at our back but not too close to slam. Usually this is going to be on the edge of the middle circle of our radar. The loadout is going to be very similar across all classes. The only armor piece across all 3 classes that's necessary is going to be Celestial Nighthawk on Hunter. On Warlock and Titan you can use whatever you like. For the weapons we're going to use Corrective Measure and have a sword handy. I like to use Ex Machina, but any sniper will do. And then also Touch of Malice. Another note is that for the Titan and Hunter versions of this solo, you're going to need to be able to PDR, so you will have a Boo or Howl handy. The blind spot that we're going to be using is on the steps at the back of the map, as you can see here. So, weaken the first ogre, and then you're going to fall down and shoot in bursts with your LMG, and reload your sniper. We want to keep the ogre hot on our trail here, and we're going to jump up to the step and make the first ogre unenrage. When we weaken the second ogre from here, we will re-enrage the first. Bait the ogre up onto the steps and kill it. We will then run all the way up towards the Daughter's Plates. From the Daughter's Plate, you can weaken ogres 3 and 4 with your sniper, and then prepare to stun. We always want to stun either from the Daughter's Plates or from glitch spots on the sides, just because running to the front of the map and coming back wastes a lot of time. After the stun, we'll run down toward this corner. If you're on Titan or Warlock, you want to get an overshield from those thralls. When we're baiting ogres towards these steps, we ideally want the bombs to be right in the middle of the steps. The best way to do this is to drag the ogres either diagonally across the middle of the steps, or to drag them completely horizontally across the side. If we drag them in the same direction as the main hallway down the middle, there's a good chance that we kill the ogres either too close to the middle or too close to the spawn door. If they're too close to the middle, then either the vessel or the Light Eater Knights will take all of the bombs, or if we drag them and kill them too close to the spawn door, we lose our little safe spot. And having some space there behind the bombs is going to be crucial later on. As you can see, it takes a few seconds for the ogres to unenrage, so you don't want to spam shots and accidentally kill it. You should have plenty of time to get all 4 ogres back into the pool before the round ends. When Oryx is front left, there is a shortcut that we can perform. I am including shortcuts in this video, but I do recommend that you use the standard way. But if the opportunity presents itself to kill more than 1 ogre before the slam, you should take it. In this case, we weaken the 3rd ogre right away, and when we do this, the 2nd ogre approaches a little too close. We can then enrage him and kill him before running back up to the Daughter's Plate. Oryx is back left, we now have to employ a slightly different strategy. This time, we're going to weaken all 4 ogres before we drag any of them. When Oryx is at the back of the map, that means we'll have to drag the 2 ogres at the front of the map at the same time. This proves very difficult the first few times around, and causes a lot of runs to end up with only 3 bombs on this round. The last ogre here I like to weaken with a grenade and a sniper shot just to speed things up a little bit. And then I'm going to jump down all the way around and try to very quickly enrage these 2 ogres. And again, dragging them diagonally across the bomb pool and killing them. Now, if you're very quick here, you'll have time to kill the corner adds, maybe even both, before you set up for the stun. Now, in the clip I showed, I did get both ogres, but a lot of times you'll only be able to get one. See, in this case, one of them was a bit too far away. I got one of the kills, but the other one was not close enough for me to kill it. So I had to be satisfied with just the one. If you ever get too greedy and try to get 2 when you really should only get 1 or even 0, you will likely pay for it. In this case, I really wanted that second ogre, and I ended up getting it far too late and didn't have enough health for the stun. After stunning Oryx, if you've already killed the 2 back ogres, you have some time here to kill some adds. Try to focus always on Acolyte eyes first, then Axion darts, and then Acolytes themselves. We're going to slide to the front and drag both of the ogres, and again jump up to the step. While we're waiting on this step, it helps if you try to enrage the furthest ogre and just ignore the one in front of you, as he's going to enrage anyway. As you see here, oftentimes the last ogre will unenrage, but don't worry, you can just re-enrage him and drag him across. Especially if you killed 2 of the back ogres earlier, as you have plenty of time to spare. The Shade of Oryx is almost standard to regular solos, except this time we now get to use our supers as utility items. So on Hunter, I use my super in the Shade most of the time. I also use it to stun Oryx very often. On Warlock, sometimes I use my super just for self-res, other times I'll pop it as soon as I get into Shade just to bake him down very quickly. On Titan, I mostly use super just to recover some health when I need it, if I ever get too weak or don't have enough health for a stun. If you ever use your super, make sure you kill some thralls in Shade just to recover the super energy. This time, Oryx is going to be in the front right of the room. We're going to weaken the first ogre, and then immediately turn to weaken the second ogre. Drop down to the middle, and you only need to shoot 1 shot towards this first ogre to enrage it. Make sure you're not too far into the front of the room or you'll accidentally enrage both of them. Again, jump to the step, keeping the ogre hot on your heels, and then weaken the third ogre, which will re-enrage the first ogre. And then you can weaken the fourth ogre from behind the bombs here. Weakening this ogre can sometimes be a little bit sketchy, but you should be alright. When Oryx is in the front right, we're going to stun from behind this step here. You can use either Touch of Malice, or if you're on Hunter, you can use Golden Gun. And then immediately after the stun, if you're on Titan or Warlock, you want to again get an overshield from those thralls before running to bait these 2 ogres. Again, dragging them diagonally across the bombs. As you're running to the front of the room, make sure you're not double jumping too close to the ogres, or you'll have trouble enraging them. If you have time to kill thralls or acolytes, great. If not, don't worry too much about them. The placement on this step is important. If you're too far left, he'll come around the edge like he does in this clip, or if you're too close to the front, sometimes he'll just slam you anyway. There is also a shortcut that we can perform when Oryx is in the front right. You'll see occasionally after we kill this first ogre, the second ogre is sometimes close enough that we can enrage him and kill him as well. We can then weaken the third ogre like regular before going to stun Oryx. And on very rare occasions, there is a double shortcut that we can pull off. I would never recommend going for this, but sometimes the opportunity just presents itself. In the same fashion, as we weaken the final ogre, the previous ogre will also get enraged. And then as we kill this ogre, the last ogre gets enraged. The timing to get to the stun is going to be very tight for this. I would only really ever recommend going for it on Hunter. And the last position to cover is when Oryx is in the back right of the room. For this position, we're going to weaken the first 3 ogres, and the third ogre I like to use a grenade to weaken. Again, it just saves an extra second. After weakening that third ogre, we're immediately going to fall down and not use our double jumps, and head to the very back. We'll bait this ogre and kill him over the bombs, and then we'll use that safe spot by the door to weaken the last ogre. You should also have time here to kill any of the corner adds that spawn before you need to go for the stun. If you accidentally enrage that third ogre, just make sure you weaken him a little bit before you stun. After the stun, we're going to loop around to the back here and get the last ogre enraged and killed. Once again, as we're heading to the front of the map, you want to avoid double jumping as we get close to the ogres. Shoot both of them to enrage, and once again jump up towards the step. Focus on re-enraging the furthest ogre from you, and then drag both of them back towards the bombs. If one of them unenrages, that is fine. Make sure to not step into the bombs if they're hots, and make sure to not double jump when you're trying to re-enrage. When Oryx is in the back of the room, you have plenty of time to get the ogres into the back. Once again, there is a shortcut that we can pull off here. After dragging this first ogre towards the back, and then weakening the last ogre, sometimes he'll just be close enough that we can enrage him. In this case, it took quite a while, but sometimes it's not as slow as this. Be sure to constantly be monitoring your health, especially on Warlock and Titan, to make sure that you have enough health to stun Oryx. When you take these shortcuts, you should have plenty of time to kill adds. As you're in your final shade, make sure you keep in mind how much super energy you have, as you will need it for the detonation process. So, if you've gotten to the 5th round and you've successfully gotten 4 bombs on every round, it's going to pay off here. If you enter into the 5th round with all 16 bombs ready, you can just go ahead and kill the ogres and their respective adds, and then prepare for the stun afterward. Also, you should swap to a sword, as it does help just with survivability while detonating, and if you're on old gen, you want to preload your PDR items. If you come into the last round needing 1 or even 2 bombs, you can get them on this last round. If Oryx is in the back left, it will be significantly easier. If it's in the back right, it'll be easy to get 1, but 2 might be pushing it. You will need to be quick. If you need 1 or 2 bombs on Hunter or Titan, you'll need to get both of them before the stun starts. Take note of what you're seeing there. That is a disgusting looking 16 bombs. Ideally, you have all of the bombs right on top of each other, but it does take a lot of practice to get to that point. So, the Warlock detonation is sweet and simple. You stun Oryx like regular, and then immediately after stunning Oryx, you jump into the middle of all of your bombs. This is when it's nice to have a sword equipped that you can sword block. Stay in the bombs an extra second or two after you think you need to, so all of the bombs go off. Then simply step out and shoot Oryx, and then self-res. On Titan, we need to use a glitch here where we pop bubble at the edge of the step, and then jump up onto the step, so our bottom half is in the bubble and our top half is outside. We can then shoot our final round of touch, and the damage gets taken away from the armor bubble instead of our health. So we're going to use this to stun, and then we're going to keep shooting until all of the armor of light is gone. We then beeline for the bombs, standing right in the middle of all of them, and begin your PDR after you see the bombs show up in chat. In this clip I was a little early, but I was on all gen at the time, so I was playing it safe. The timing for the Hunter detonation sequence is by far the hardest. We're going to jump into all the bombs a couple seconds after the slam and pop super. You're going to shoot Oryx as you see the bombs showing up in chat, and then immediately PDR. The biggest jump in difficulty when it comes to hard mode is mostly just how much damage everything does to you. The Knights can be a pain just wandering around the back of the map, so try to kill them in between rounds when possible. On the final round, it is also very important that you kill all of the Knights that are in the back of the map. The detonation sequences are similar, but the timings do differ a little bit. On hard mode especially, I would recommend getting a flame shield for the Warlock solo, but otherwise the hard mode Warlock solo is the exact same as the normal in terms of detonation. Just make sure all of the ads are dead in the back of the map. Here you can see I used the sword blocking to full effect. For the Titan solo, we're going to be using the same trick where we had glitch out of the bubble, but this time we're going to need to get more damage on Oryx. So you're going to shoot until your armor of light armor is halfway down, and then you'll briefly step out of and back into the bubble to refresh the armor shield. Then shoot until the armor shield is completely gone before going to detonate the bombs. The timing for the PDR is the same as before here. PDR after you see the messages show up. The hard mode Hunter solo is easily the hardest because Golden Gun only keeps its chest open for about 8 seconds or so. In this case, we use that double aim trick with the PDR because we really do need to speed it up. The Golden Gun shot should come about 2 seconds after you see the messages in chat show up. You can see in this case, I only got 15 out of 16 bombs, which was extremely painful, but it allows me to emphasize a few points here. The main one being to make sure that you jump into all the bombs at the exact same time. This goes for all of the solos. For Hunter, you can either pre-aim before jumping into the bomb so you know where Oryx's chest is going to be, or you can single or double jump out of the bomb so that you can see his chest for the stun. You do respawn from PDR or self-res at the very back of the map, so be sure to get up to the front for a final stand in a hurry. It is possible to do the Hunter and Warlock versions of these solos, Host and Rage. I decided not to cover that because, one, I think it's kind of lame, and two, it gets a little more involved. And with that, the challenge mode solos are complete. Now, as I said before, this type of solo is just my absolute favorite. There's no RNG, it's a lot of fun, it's entertaining to watch, and the strategy is just very elegant. And I can't take any credit for coming up with any of these strategies or the routings. They all came before me. Pretty much everything that I'm covering these videos, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants when it comes to Oryx solos. So if you have any questions about this solo or any of the solos, feel free to reach out, send me string links. I'm always happy to come and watch. And yeah, thank you for watching.